Greetings and happy Christmas. Although this has not been recorded on Christmas Day, because I'll be probably when this goes out, I'll probably be sitting in front of the telly after my Christmas lunch. But if you're watching this on Christmas Day, happy Christmas from myself and Dave and Rocky. So this is a part 3 of my countdown of my 100 great bands that I was set by Rob Walker back in the summer. So today we're going to look at number 26, number 50 up to 26. So to start off the 50, I'm going to go to a legend of a great singer, and that's Mr. David Bowie. I do love the 70s. That is my favourite. When we had Hunky Dory and Aladdin Sane, Diamond Dogs, the Ziggy album, and some great songs from that period. Ziggy Stardust, The Man That Fell to Earth. There's just so much about this guy that I love of that period. Not so keen on his later stuff, but this period is, I love the Ziggy Stardust. And it's got one of my favourite bass players, Trevor Boulder, who was involved as well. Okay, number 49, band from Scotland. A great band, great entertainers, eccentric singer and songwriter, which only means one thing: it's the sensational Alex Harvey Band. Alex Harvey, Zal Clemenson, Chris Glenn, and brothers Hugh and Ted. What great music, great songs. Delilah, their version of Delilah, the brilliant framed Faith Healer, Boston Tea Party, to name a few of their great songs. Never got to see these because I was just too young, but I do love this band and their music. Okay, coming number 48, a band that I did see, and I got to see the classic lineup back in 1984 at Milton Keynes Bowl. I saw Dan McCafferty, Mammy Charlton, Pete Agnell, and Darryl Sweet, known to us as Nazareth. Some great music. Albums: Brazamanaz, Loud and Proud, Hair of Dog, and of course their version of This Flight Tonight. Classic rock music. Sadly, there's only Pete Agnew left now out of them thing. So I felt very honoured that I did get to see that classic lineup of Nazareth. Okay, then coming in at number 47, a Dutch band that spanned from 1961 up to 2021 from Holland. A band that are very sort of similar sort of thing to Nazareth, and that's Golden Earring. But it's that classic lineup of Rhinus Gerrison, George Koolemans, Barry Hay, and Caesar Zelvik. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Absolutely brilliant. The brilliant Moon Tam, which gave us Radar Live. Got the Twilight Zone, a great song, Candy's Going Band, and Ce Soir, which was covered by Iron Maiden as a B-side. I love this band. I mean, from 61 to 2021, what phenomenal they went through. That 60s sound, 70s, 80s, fine live band, a band that I would have loved to have seen. Okay, coming in at number 46, we're going back to my childhood. This is when I really got into music. Now this band was just incredible for a young 7 or 8 year old. Brian Connolly, Steve Priest, Mick Tucker, and Andy Scott, known as The Sweet, of course. Everyone loves their singles, you know, Wigwam Bam, Ballroom Blips, just to name a few. Love Is Like Oxygen. But I love their albums. My albums like Sweet Fanny Adams, Desolation Boulevard, and the brilliant Give Us a Wink. They were not just a pop bubblegum pop band, but they were a serious rock band. They are such great albums, and their music is just a legacy. Number 45, a band that just released their new album, Hackney Diamonds, and it's the Rolling Stones. I did see the Rolling Stones back in 1990. I saw them on Bill Wyman's last tour. What can you say about this band? Such great albums all through their career. You know, starting off with things like Goat Soup and Some Girls, Sticky Fingers, Steel Wheels, Bill's last one, and that brilliant Hackney Diamonds. What a band. I just love Rolling Stones, always will. Okay, coming in at number 44. Mentioned him before. Was in the Yardbirds. He was the guitarist. We sadly lost him. It's the brilliant Jeff Beck. Started the careers of two great musicians, Rod Stewart and Ronnie Wood. Brought on that young girl that's a bass player. Never remember her name. What great albums! Truth, Beckola, Jeff Beck's Guitar Shop, and one of his last great albums, Emotion on Commotion. I mean, he had that dancing phase, which I don't know what he was doing, but what a legacy. He had a unique way of playing the guitar, and he was the guitarist. Great artist and great guitar player. Okay, coming in at number 43. We've mentioned, he's in a band that we've mentioned yesterday, the drummer, Phil Collins singer, and this is the man that left first, Peter Gabriel. What can I say about Peter Gabriel? Salisbury Hill, Games Without Frontiers, Biko, Sledgehammer. Just an incredible artiste. His new album's out. Still growing on me, but I'm sure I'll get to love it as much as I do his other stuff. Okay, coming in number 42, a singer that I just love how he wrote. But it was a unique band, 3 members, no bass player until a certain album. That's Jim Morrison, Ray Manzarek and Robbie Krieger. The Doors. Well, Light My Fire, Strange Days, the album, People Are Strange, Roadhouse Blues, Riders on a Storm. The list is on just there. Oh, brilliant. Number 41, a great British band featuring Martin Offler, and it's Dire Straits. Debut album, Souls of Swing. Great, brilliant Romeo and Juliet, the fantastic Private Investigations. Love Over Gold is just a dynamite album, and that's why it's in the list, because they are just a phenomenal band. Number 40, this will please Stevie's vinyl cupboard. It's The Who. Another band that sort of has been there, you know, me growing up with music. And where do you start with The Who? So many great albums. But it's that period when we had Tommy and we had Quadrophenia and Who's Next. That was just the pinnacle. One of the greatest drummers in the world and probably one of the greatest bass players in the world, John Entwistle. Absolutely brilliant band. Okay, coming in number 39. A band that I brought their first album on the cover because it was by Roger Dean. Asia. The albums we love are the first album more than anything. John Wetton, Carl Palmer, Steve Allen, Jeffrey Downes. And don't forget, they did, when these are left, we had people like John Payne in the band. Chris Slade played in the band. And a very, very good guitarist called Guthrie Govan was in the band. But it's more for the Asia album, their biggest album, and they sort of peaked a little bit too early, but they're still made some great songs. Okay, coming in number 38, another band that I've seen numerous times. I've even seen the offshoot of the band. The band is Magnum. My players that have been through here, unbelievable. Richard Bailey in that early lineup, the brilliant Mark Stanway, Wally Lowe, Bob Catley and Tony Clarkin, and Mickey Barker on the drums. My favourite lineup was Bob, Tony, Mickey, Mark and Wally. But of course we've had Harry James from Thunder in the Band and the brilliant Al Barrow. Great albums, still making good music today, but my favourite period is got to be some of them great out, the Vigilante album, Storyteller's Night, Wings of Heaven. Absolutely superb band. Okay, coming number 37. Another guy that I saw numerous times. Played with Thin Lizzy. Did blues, did rock. It's the one and only Mr. Gary Moore. Another guitarist sadly taken too early from us. What can you say? From Parisian Walkways, Run for Cover, Military Man, Over the Hills and Far Away, Out in the Fields, Walking by Myself. The career of this man was great. Saw him lots of times as a rocker. Saw him in his blues days. I just loved the guy. Okay then, coming at number 36, a great prog band led by the wonderful Annie Haslam. We're talking Renaissance. My favourite lineup was when it was Michael Dunford, John Capp, Terry Sullivan and Ron Trout. They made some amazing music. Albums from Ashes and Burning, Turn the Cards, Charette Society and Other Stories, Novella and A Song for Seasons. I love Northern Lights. Fantastic singer. I think she was an absolute star. Still there singing today as well. Okay, and number 35. Another band that I've sort of not fallen out of love, but there is a certain period of their time that I love. When they first started, they were all very young. Def Leppard, Rick Savage, Joe Elliott, with Pete Willis and Steve Clark in the beginning, and the first two albums are killer. Then we had Paramania. Hysteria came along, Mutt Lange took over and bored the pants out of us. But their last album was pretty good, but I've seen them quite a few times and they do put on a great show. And I do love listening to them early albums. Okay, number 34. Another band featuring Paul Rodgers. You know who these are. Mick Ralphs, Boz Borrell and Simon Kirke, the brilliant Bad Company. I think out of all the bands that Paul was in, Bad Company are my favourite. What albums? Running with the Pack and the debut album, the songs just can't get enough. Bad Company itself, Shooting Star. The list is on, but just great thing. I've seen Paul Rodgers live and I've seen Bad Company without Paul Rodgers, so I'm quite happy. Okay, coming in number 33, probably one of my favourite female singers ever, the one and only Kate Bush. The Kicking Signs and Howlin' Love's albums are brilliant, but all them singles. Wuthering Heights, brilliant. Running Up That Hill, Big Now, thanks for another thing. Cloudbursting is just terrific. I just love Kate Bush. You either love her or hate her, you don't just like. But she's a great, fine British artist. Number 32 then, another guy that sort of left an impact on me when I was growing up, and it's the one and only Mark Bolan and T-Rex. Not a great fan of Tyrannosaurus Rex, but T-Rex. Then three great albums: Electric Warrior, The Slider and Tanks. But another bunch of singles that just, the list is just there, isn't it? Telegram Sam, Get It On. Great artist. Never saw him. I saw the next best thing I've seen T-Rex see, and that blew me away. Okay, coming in at number 31, another band that we'll be featuring and saw their side shoots. This is a band that featured Ian Gillan, and it is Gillan, and it's that great lineup of Ian Gillan, John McCoy on the bass, Colin Towns on the keyboards, the brilliant Mick Underwood on the drums, and Bernie Tormé. What albums they gave us, and of course Yannick Gears was in the band towards the end. What can I say? New Orleans, their version of Trouble, Running White Boy, City Boy. Great albums as well, Future Shock and Odd the Rocks and Glory Road. It's fantastic albums. I love Ian Gillan. This was when he was at his finest as a screecher. Fantastic group they were. Okay, number 30. We go to a band that was at the beginning of the new wave of British heavy metal. They are the band that wrote an iconic song, Am I Evil? We're talking Diamond Head. Yeah, did get to see them. There's always that funny story. They Metallica song meant to remind these lads that they didn't. But the lineup I love, of course, is Sean Harris, Brian Tatler, Colin Kimberley and Duncan Scott. The first two albums for me are the best. Lightning the Nations and Borrowed Time. Okay, number 29. A band that we never said that the lead singer said they weren't a heavy metal band. They played rock and roll, and they were called Motohead. Never really put out a bad album, this band. They had great lineups. Of course, you've got the classic Lemmy, Eddie Clarke and Phil Taylor. Brilliant. But then we had the last incarnation of the band with Mickey D, Phil Campbell and Lemmy. They was as good as the original, and the last Motohead album was absolutely brilliant, and God rest his soul, because Lemmy was a legend. Okay then, coming in at number 28, another band I've seen a few times, but I never saw the lineup I wanted to see, which was Phil Mogg, Michael Schenker, Pete Way, Paul Raymond and Andy Parker. UFO, of course. My mate had a claim for fame. They would do it. Phil Mogg was waffling on and he said, "Get on with it." That was at Birmingham Odeon. But the time that Michael Schenker was in the group was the best. From Phenomena, Force It Heavy, No Heavy Petting, Lights Out and Obsession. What great songs. Doctor Doctor, Love to Love, Lights Out. That's a great band. You know, Phil Mogg carried it on for a long time. And I know their last albums, although they were sort of bluesy, they still were a good band, and I do like listening to their songs. Okay, coming in at number 27 is a band that Michael Schenker started his life in with his brother Rudolph. We're talking the Scorpions. Some names been through here, but my favourite lineup is Rudolph Schenker, Klaus Meine, Francis Bolschuss, Herman Rebel and Matthias Jabs. What a bunch of albums they brought out. Blackout. What an album. Love at First Sting. Great songs. The Zoo. I'm not forgetting Uli John Roth's time in the band with, you know, Virgin Killers, In Trance. Just a fine musicians and a great band. I saw them once. I saw them at Nebworth Park, and it was peeing down the rain. But when the Scorpions come on, they come on and did Blackout, and we all went mental. And we didn't care about the rain. What a great band. Okay, we've reached the last one of today. As again, it's another band I only saw them once. Again, I saw them at the Garden Party. And it's the fantastic Jethro Tull. Great lineups, and some of the people that have been in this band that have contributed, of course, we've got Ian Anderson, the great Martin Barr, Glenn Cornick of bass, Clive Bunker drums, the other drummer Barrymore Barlomo, John Clascock on the bass, and keyboardist David Palmer that became Dee Palmer. Now, Dee Palmer was the most important part of this band on the keyboards. What can I say? So many great albums here. Thick as a Brick, Aqualung, Benefit, Minstrel in the Gallery, Songs from the Wood. There's just too many to mention, and they're still going, and not the original lineup, but Iain Anderson is still out there doing the business. And that's a good one to end on today, because you can't get enough of Jethro Tull. Even they have a Christmas album, which I love playing at this time of year. Okay, tomorrow is the final countdown. We're going from 25 to my favourite band. I think a lot of you must know who my favourite band are. And if you don't, where have you been for the last 3 years? Yeah, it must be. I don't know, I lose track. So, enjoy the rest of your Christmas day, because some of you are probably watching this when everyone's gone, or you're sitting there going, "Oh, I've had enough today," and you're overfilled. So I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.